All right, Adam, I think we're live. How you doing this morning?
I'm good. How are you? Happy to be here.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I appreciate you coming on. We did a React Native radio podcast episode a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, something like that,
Yeah.
and talked about RNX Kit. And it was particularly relevant at the time for me because we had just used it for Ignite, our boilerplate. And specifically, we used it for the symlink support because like people were complaining that, hey, we can't use this with PNPM. We can't use this with what's the Lerna monorepo, because they all use symlinks, and React Native has trouble. Like Metro out of the box has trouble with symlinks.
Yeah. It's one of those big gaps that's really simple to fill.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Well, I was kind of wondered like why it's not just built into Metro.
I think it has to do with Watchman. It's kind of complicated to watch through symlinks. And so Metro's kind of tied to Watchman.
Yeah.
Because of haste, which ironically no one but Meta's using. It's on my to-do list actually to see if I can get Metro to alternatively not use haste. But it's an experiment. We'll see how well it works.
So haste, if I'm not mistaken, has something to do with like building a tree of the files involved in the project, or what is it?
Yeah, it's a neat idea, but it takes a lot of cycles. So haste uses Watchman to look through the whole file system in your repo, including your node modules and all the links that are in there.
Yeah.
And it finds packages and it looks through all the source code and looks for these little comments that says provides module. So instead of importing a file through like a package, you just you import the package name, I think, and it goes through the haste map and says, oh, this package name maps to this particular piece of source code, which could be in a totally unrelated thing. And then it pulls that in as if it were the module. So it's like a dynamic second stage lookup.
Okay. That's interesting. And you said only so mainly it's Meta using this. It's not necessarily used on the open source side.
Yeah, I guess this is a good forum to ask if anybody else depends on it. I'd love to hear about it because.
Hey, Akil, by the way. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like there's a lot of stuff within React Native that's sort of meta specific. The big one, of course, is Flow.
Yeah, that's just they're embedded with it. So, yeah. But there's a pretty good support from TypeScript, even from Meta. So I think we're getting both worlds.
I do think so as well. That's why I haven't really complained about it, because it's honestly hasn't really affected us too much. Hey, Derek, thanks for jumping on, by the way, over on the Twitch side. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this as well. So that makes sense then. So there's certain things that are actually pretty tough to do. Like it probably would have been done a long time ago if it had been easy. But yeah, obviously you solved it.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say you solved it though.
I have an idea about how to get rid of haste, but the symlink stuff, yeah, we can get the bundle resolver, the thing that finds the thing and puts it all into your bundle, finds the packages. We figured out how to just help it out.
Yeah.
So hey, Tito. Skip Watchman.
Watchman, yeah. Tito says, hey, Adam, Jamin. Cool.
Hey.
Well, what we're doing today is we're going to be exploring RNX Kit, and Adam is one of the creators of RNX Kit. And of course, you worked for Microsoft for a very long time. Let's see, I forget from our discussion before. How long? When did you start?
I started in '97 as an intern, and then I came back full time in '98. So it's been a long time. There was a little 4-year break in the middle, but otherwise I've been here.
Yeah. Are you working remotely now, or is it kind of like partially remote, or like?
This is my office behind me. I've been in the office for the last few months.
That is
A
your
lot of people
Microsoft
are-
Office. Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
A lot of people are just starting to come back now.
Okay. Yep. Up in Redmond.
Yeah, I'm in Redmond. That's right. We have offices everywhere. I should make that clear. I'm in Redmond, Washington.
Yeah. Well, I'm a fellow Washingtonian, but I'm in the southwest corner, Vancouver. So about 3 hours south of you, depending on traffic.
I know. I've been down there a few times,
Yeah.
and I was excited to hear Chain React is a thing that's so close to home.
Yeah, I know.
I could just,
Yeah, totally. Well, we're gonna have to. So we canceled this year again, unfortunately, but we're gonna. I mean, it's gonna take a lot to get us to cancel next year because I don't want to go another year without it. Jeez. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's super fun. Like, yeah, we get 500 engineers there, like in a good year. So I think our top was 520 or something, and then we cut it off. Like, we could have probably had more, but we didn't want to fill the venue too much. So yeah, the part of Washington that's actually Oregon, Robin says. Well,
Thank you.
to be fair, I grew up in Oregon for 19 years, but I have been in Washington longer than I was in Oregon now. So
Yeah.
because I'm getting old. I'm gonna actually go to our live view here. And so one of the things, this is just kind of housekeeping, but people probably don't realize is that my guests, this is my fault, but I don't have the greatest setup yet for showing my screen to my guests and also streaming it. So for right now, unfortunately, Adam's having to watch it on the stream, which means it's a little delayed for him as well. So if it looks like he's a little behind, it's not because he's slow, it's because I haven't set it up very well. But what we're looking at here is RNX Kit. Tools which help developers build, deliver, and maintain React Native apps and libraries. So this is a pretty broad description here. This gives you it's like tools, React Native, anything goes here. And that is kind of your vision though, right, Adam?
It is. Actually, it's a little bit bigger than that, but for now we're starting with tools because they seem to be the biggest developer pain point.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you can get into hosting and localization and all kinds of other interesting things that people deal with. The tools are where it's at right now.
By the way, Robin says, ironically, in the part of Oregon that's basically Washington. It is true. I'm in Washington State now, but I'm technically further south than where I grew up in Oregon, which is in that little bump. You know, the little bump of Oregon on the top left corner. I grew up in that bump there. So I'm technically south of Oregon where I grew up. But yes, I agree. There's a lot of work that needs to be done on tools, like you said, Adam. And but yeah, there's a lot of developer experience things that need to be improved throughout React Native. And I think it's super exciting to me because we've been doing React Native since it came out, and we've felt all of the pain all the way through. We've done all the upgrades. We've dealt with all of the issues. Everything, 100% of it, and multiple projects because we're a consultancy. So we work with lots of companies, including Microsoft, by the way, one of our clients. We actually worked on React Native Windows, as well as some other stuff. But so let's see here. So the basics, React Native. So we're just gonna go through the README for a little bit here. React Native engineering is complicated. The ecosystem changes quickly. The tools here aim to improve the developer experience throughout the lifecycle of React Native apps and libraries. And RNX is a React Native user experience. It's any code you've written using React Native. A kit is the package you use to deliver this code. For most common scenarios, such as a greenfield React Native app or a React Native library, you can say that your project's folder is a kit, since you're writing the code and releasing it. A kit has configuration which informs how its dependencies are managed, how it's bundled, published, delivered, hosted. Configuration comes from RNX Kit.config.js or an RNX Kit section of package.json or any of the other standard ways of supplying configuration. Cosmic config. Okay, you're using Cosmic config. Good. I like that. I would love, by the way, I've been using Cosmic config for some of my libraries as well. And I would love if they added a .config folder as an option to put everything in. Because the thing that I kind of get annoyed by is this. And this. It's like there's so many files and they just continue to pile up in your root and you just have no control over it. Like it's just, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger every time you do anything. I mean, this is Cosmic config, which is the configuration library, and look at how it handles all this. I feel like a single .config folder with all the configs in it would make more sense, or something like that. I don't know. Maybe you disagree with me, Adam, but that's my thought.
No, everybody who works on React Native has boilerplate of some kind.
Yeah.
You guys have that full library, but we all have the template project that we copy paste from.
Yeah. Exactly. So, so you do support this, obviously. So if you want to drop into your package JSON, that's fine. So working with kits, you have a CLI, uses a kit configuration. It's useful as a development tool and in automated CI loops. So you use this in CI as well. Let's see. Dependency management. So this is an interesting one here. And actually, I should really spin up a React Native app here while we're at it. React Native init. And actually, you know what? I'll do an Ignite app actually. Ignite CLI new, and this will be like the RNX Explorer. Nice. And I'm not gonna do Expo. I'm just gonna do our standard React Native CLI build. So how much do you know about Ignite, by the way, Adam?
Probably not as much as I should, but
that's okay. Yeah,
I know it's a tried and tested, like basic full app template.
Yeah, cutting edge React Native project boilerplate along with the CLI, component model generators, and more. So there's a boilerplate, and this is just a React Native app, which of course has all of its configuration in the root, and it uses TypeScript. It has a folder structure. It uses, in this case, Mobix state tree for case or state management. Uses React navigation. Has that all configured for you. It basically, like, when you spin it up, it should be how we like to build apps. And we try to keep this up to date. There have been almost 2,100 commits over like 6 years, something like that. So we continue to keep it up to date. There's actually some really exciting stuff coming for Ignite that we're doing some pretty big updates to the look and feel and some other things, but those are a ways out. So we're just gonna spin one up, and then we'll be using RNX Kit to kind of like explore. We'll be using that code base to explore what RNX Kit can do. So VS Code, of course. Microsoft is taking over my development workflow. Which I never thought I would say, to be completely honest. I was like doing like a bunch of other stuff. Kind of going away from Microsoft. Oh, Ahmed says, hey, Adam and Jamin. Ahmed is from Egypt.
Hey, Ahmed.
But yeah, more and more Microsoft is doing all the cool stuff with all the stuff that I do. So, okay, so we're spun up here, and we have. I don't know what to. I guess I should just run it. I'll do that. Yarn iOS. All right. then we can talk while it's running. But yeah, anything? Have you been working on this? Like, what have you done with RNX Kit lately? What's been your focus so far?
Let's see. I spent a bunch of time recently on the TypeScript side of things, trying to get bundling, make it type safe, so that you can tell when, if you're making an iOS bundle, that something's a little wrong with your usage of those types, or if you're making a Windows bundle, because it's a small gap, but it's an important one, and it reveals subtle bugs. So I've been trying to get TypeScript integrated with Metro. I've got it integrated.
Nice.
And I've been using it with some internal big repos, sort of as a test bed to see how well it works. And
right.
That's still in progress, but that's what I've been up to lately. And now I'm looking at planning out what I want to do next with this.
Yeah.
A little bit of an explicit path forward. It's better to make those decisions up front.
Yeah.
So I'm looking ahead to what tools I want to write, where are the gaps, what do we want to work on, and it's looking like more type safety issues and bundle splitting and tree shaking.
Ooh, that'd be nice.
And maybe some cache work to make things go faster, and also some getting rid of haste. We talked about haste already.
Yeah. Yep.
It's a problem when you start up for the first time and then there's a lot of caches that are already there, but it really sucks. And whenever the cache just decides it's not going to help you out, you have to start all over.
Wow.
Yeah.
Chanman 1417, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Appreciate you hanging out with me and Adam today. Yeah, that sounds amazing. Tree shaking was one of those things that we ran into in a previous project. We really needed it, to be honest, because there was a lot of stuff that was getting dragged in that we knew wasn't being used. And you can get rid of it, but with tree shaking, you can just kind of like let it do the work and get rid of all the stuff you're not using. And it becomes very manual when you're just like, okay, I know I'm only using this piece of this library, so I guess I need to like split that off, or like find some alternative that's smaller, or it becomes a lot of work. So that's a big one. That's huge. But yes, go ahead.
We have some good experimental results with ESBuild.
Okay.
Sort of
ESBuild's awesome.
We took the Metro resolver, or the serializer, and we sort of chopped it off and put ESBuild in its place. And Tito actually did all this work. He's on with us. He got some really good results. It's so experimental because there are little things that don't quite work as well as we want, but they're big drops when, depending on the app. It can be quite a big drop, and it's fast. I
was gonna say that, like, ESBuild. I remember the first time I ran ESBuild on just a web project. I literally ran it again because I didn't think it worked because it was so fast. I was like, wait, what? I deleted the file that it created and I reran it and it recreated it. I'm like, that can't be. How did it possibly do that?
Yeah, native code when written really well, and same with JavaScript too. Like Suprace is a good example, but native code when written really well is just always going to beat JavaScript.
Yeah. So it looks like things are working here. Cool. So we have a project up. All right. So if you were, I don't know if this is how this works, so tell me if I'm going about this the wrong way, but at what point in a project would you be like, I need to reach for this, the dependency management part of RNX Kit?
I would say you're going to be happier if you reach for it at the start.
Okay.
Because the magic behind it, it's got all this baked in tested knowledge where we know that a lot of common React packages work well together with React Native, React Native packages.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what Expo does. They have the Expo SDK version.
Yeah.
And behind it, you get all their native modules, and they keep them all up to date for you. Well, we're sort of doing that without a specific full system.
Yeah.
there are lists baked into the dependency manager that when you run it,
Yeah.
it'll look around at your packages and say, there's a newer version you should have now.
Yeah.
Because they've made some fixes, and it'll just keep you up to date. Or if you want to update React Native, you have to go and try to find the magical combination of the 50 other React Native packages and the exact versions that all work together. And with React Native, it can be tricky. So
yeah,
the dep checker is really easy to start up with. It doesn't take much effort.
Right. Oops, I didn't install it. I do need to install this. Okay, so let's see here. Where's the installation thing here?
If you go down to the dependency management section, there should be like a link take you to the package, and there's a README in there that tells you.
Perfect. Yep, there it is. So we simply have to add this. And then we simply run this. We don't need to necessarily pass in options, but we can. So if I just run it without anything. Oh, you can apply them directly as well. That's cool. Interactively. Yeah. Okay.
It's got a few modes.
Right. If I just run it without, it appears to have successfully finished. Does that mean that everything's compatible as far as it knows?
I don't think it's done anything. I could be wrong, but I think you need to configure. You see that init command there? That sets up configuration.
Oh. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it puts some stuff in that RNX Kit field in package.json.
Let's go look.
So just take a look at your dependencies and figures things out. Let's see what it did.
There's RNX Kit. Nice. React Native version, it shows what it is. Kit type, it's an app instead of a library. Capabilities, core Android, core iOS, gestures, jest. And then it knows that I'm using the native navigation, the stack navigator. React DOM, which is mainly for Storybook, I think. Safe area, screens, and storage. So these capabilities are... They're not mapping directly to dependencies.
They're like an intermediary. So it's like sometimes they map to one.
Yeah.
And sometimes they map to a few.
I see.
And sometimes they map to other capabilities. I think Tito should just jump in and correct me if I'm getting this wrong, but
Tito said that you can run this with npx without installing as well. You can just do npx at RNX Kit /dep check. That is good to know.
Yeah, it's got its own CLI, which is because it's such a helpful standalone tool.
Yep.
If you don't, yeah. But behind those are package versions that it's discovered by looking at your dependency tree.
Yeah. So if I do it, I'm going to actually run it. So I ran it with but I'm going to run it this. I'm just going to run it with, I guess. Yep, it did the same thing. Okay. So we have, so here's the output. So we're getting, so current and expected. It is showing that async storage should really be at 1.15.8. Right now it's 114.1. It's also showing that React Navigation Native is at 6, but really we should probably be looking at 5.9.8. And then the same thing with Stack should be downgraded to 5. It's very interesting. So the idea behind this is we know these work with the version of React Native that you have.
Yeah.
Now I should actually go look. So go ahead. Sorry.
Your template also probably knows that other versions work. So yeah, there isn't one right answer, but we're showing you what we tested with and what we know is true.
Oh, it's 67. Okay. Yep. Correct. So above that might work, but it's not guaranteed to, because you haven't tested it. That makes sense.
Yeah, this knowledge comes from a lot of our internal usage. We have big repos.
Yep.
Where we ship apps to customers like sometimes millions and millions of customers, and we know that these things do work together.
Yeah.
But yeah, we might just not have upgraded internally, so we might not have even tried it out. The newer ones.
Is it only sourced from internal experience, or do you have any way to kind of report, if a community member is like, this doesn't work?
Right now, it's only coming from us. We haven't had a whole lot of engagement from the community because I don't think that they know too much that this tool is out there. That's starting to change, but
that's kind of the common theme with RNX Kit, but that should change. There's a lot of stuff in here that the community doesn't know about yet, but I think that will change. I think you're right.
Yeah, we're starting to get the word out. I mean, I really appreciate being on here to do that, amplify it, but we're just starting. So of course, if the community is like, this other one works, I think we support Semver ranges, maybe even across majors. It looks like so. That could be something we expand depth check to do, is like if you're within a tolerance range.
Right. I mean, right now I'm frozen at 67.2, and this is saying 67.0-0, which I don't know what that means there. I haven't seen that before. Is that a notation? Oh, it'd be a range. It'd be like 0 to 5 or something.
I think it's patch level 0. So it's literally the absolute first version of 67 you could get.
Okay. Yep. But then it does say above that, so I would think that would satisfy.
Yeah, I don't know the Semver rules with pre-release or patch versions. So
pre-release, Tito says.
Yeah, it might not.
Okay, that's fine.
We might need to update this.
Yeah, but I can see the value here. Gesture handlers 10.3, and this is saying above 10.3 or at or above. So we're saying stick. We've actually, for the most part, I don't know why this should be fixed at a certain version. We, for the most part, ship Ignite new apps with fixed versions specifically for this reason. We've tested them. We know they work. We don't want people complaining to us that Yarn picked up something else and now it doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, that's a good point. This tool starts with the idea that React Native is going to keep going,
right?
And no matter how much you want to hang on, if you guys probably maintain these apps for your customers, but once they run this, the idea is that you're continually running this with every CI loop.
Yeah.
And that's happening on a daily basis. So
yep.
The hats are kind of okay. It's forward looking.
Makes sense. So I can run with write to have depth check apply those changes. I'm actually going to do that. That was quick. Okay. Then I just yarn, I suppose. I could see why this would be so cool. I really could. Like, if I were able to just upgrade React Native and then run this tool and have it automatically upgrade everything that can and should be upgraded, but nothing else, that's kind of a big deal.
It is. It's a huge time saver.
Yeah. So if I go depth check now, yep, it completed and everything is where you would expect it to be. So I'm going to restart that. I may have to restart my simulator here. Or I could just do Yarn iOS here. My music app is playing a lot of intense stuff, so I keep skipping through it. All right, so building the app now. So all right, that's going. That I could see that'd be very, very helpful. That's an interesting one for sure. RNX dep check, and then interactively update supported React. Actually, I kind of wish I'd done this. I guess I could go back and do that, but this would be interactive. So this would be like, oh wait, interactively update supported React Native versions.
Yeah, this is the big update.
That's
this is, you want to go from 6.7 to 6.8 or something.
Ooh, interesting.
We'll get everything.
This doesn't help actually upgrade React Native, like the changes that need to happen to your app, though, right? It's just the
yeah, not that good.
Not that good. Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you could pull that off, that would be unbelievable. But of course, that's a huge undertaking. But this is all about the versions. Yeah, makes sense. And you can also pass custom profiles. So you would have a profile for. So this has your own capabilities, so you can specify your own modules and what versions you know. So Ignite could have its own versions of this.
Yeah, we start with a set of packages that we know about and that we use in our apps, so we know they're safe versions. But of course, there's more. So feel free to add your own, and then contribute them back, make our list bigger, and share it with the rest of the community.
Right. That's pretty cool. So if I were to, let's say, create a Ignite deps dot config.js or something, whatever it is, and then we have 0.60, we're on 67 here. And then let's say that we were to do mobx. And in this case, it will be mobx. And we want, I'm going to do a version that's, actually, hold on. Yarn outdated. Curious if there's a new version of mobx I need to update to anyway. Then I can have it kind of like actually do the job. So 6.4.2, let's say, right there. So if I go here and say 6.4.2, and then I go back to my package here and I add to the capabilities mobx, right? And I have that. And now I simply have to pass in this. So if I were to do, whoops. No. Let's try this again. Custom profiles, and then here I just need to do the Ignite deps thing here. Maybe I'm doing this wrong. By the way, let me catch up on chat for a second here. Denver Coder, I think that's Tim, says I have an unrelated question. Do you have a recommendation for Azure Auth with React Native? And then Adam, looks like you said, oh, you were replying to Chanman. I updated React Native from 0.62 to 66 and found it was the most difficult thing I've ever done. Wow. And no joke, it's a nightmare. Tito says, if you maintain a library using RNX Kit dep check and React Native test app means you can simply touch the package JSON. That's interesting. And Denver, yep, it's Tim. Okay. So, Tim, your question, Azure Auth with React Native. That's something I don't have a recommendation, but maybe, Adam, you do. Or Tito.
I haven't used it, but we're starting to play with authentication in RNX Kit, like a framework, because there's lots of different ways and providers that you can authenticate. I don't know how far along we are with it. I think it's early days, but or if it even supports Azure Auth. We're doing MSAL right now, which I think is Azure Active Directory kind of stuff, hand wavy. I'm not sure. So I don't have a recommendation specifically. Is the long way to say that. But Tito might know that if our auth stuff, he's been writing it, if it's could be a help there or not. There's got to be something. Somebody has to have written something.
Right?
Yeah.
So it says adding custom profiles to your package configuration. Let me verify here. So custom profiles. Oh, it's just a string. I thought it was an array. Okay. And Tim says thanks.
Yeah.
Let's try this again here. And there we go. Look at that. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. It is magic.
That is magic. And this could be something we I don't know. I'm feeling like this would be something we could put as an Ignite thing. Like, I don't have to put it here. Like, we have an Ignite folder that ships with it. It has some configuration and stuff. Well, templates mainly right now. But we could put like our, this could be rename RNX. I don't know. We'd have to find a name for this. Ignite Deps or something.
Yeah.
Something like that. And then we have all of our, what we would recommend. And then we would, so this would be Ignite, RNX, Ignite Deps. And then we add our own capabilities and our own profiles. Now, if I were to want to put for MobX more capabilities, like if I wanted this to be, if I wanted MobX to also have like MobX state tree and
MobX
you could
add
React,
another one.
You just add it underneath, or
if you want MobX to be a container for all of that, you could stick them all under one, I think.
It just says an array, or
I'm not actually sure. I would check the README.
Imagine that. Let's see here. Actually, I'll go here. My capability. There's that. It doesn't look like I have the ability to do more than one. So, by the way, Yotaku linked to a pull request as an implementation of auth for Windows, but it wasn't accepted. You can borrow the code. Tim says, I found a package but it doesn't work with the Expo, so I'm going to React Native CLI. Look for meta capabilities. Meta capabilities.
Yeah, so underneath each capability you can...
oh, right here's capabilities.
Yeah.
And custom... That should be the same across all versions. You can declare them at the root level like below. Okay, that's really helpful. Okay, I just didn't go down far enough. Custom capabilities, and then can depend on other capabilities. So, in other words, if I had... That's a meta capability.
Yeah. It's a capability that pulls in a bunch of other specifics. So I guess individually they only map to one. But then you can group them.
So if I were to do MobX React and name MobX React, and the version is GitHub Copilot will just tell us what it is. And then MobX state tree is also... whatever version that is. That might even be true. GitHub Copilot is amazing. It's incredible. And then we would have a... So this is MobX core, let's say. And then we would have a meta version, which would be mobx. The name would be meta. And then I believe it's just capabilities. So I would say capabilities, whoops, would be, it'd be mobx, and then mobx React and mobx state tree. Let's see if I did that right. Okay, if this works, and then I would have to go back to I don't think I have to change anything because that's the meta one right there. So now if I run yarn RNX dep check, it should React and React. Oh, it's React Lite is actually the one that we're using. Mobx state tree. Not sure if I'm doing something wrong here. Can existing projects benefit from RNX Kit? I can see a new project starting out with RNX now and having a safely maintainable down the line, but can RNX Kit be added incrementally for people who have React Native project that's a couple years old or so?
Yeah, I was typing an answer to that.
Oh yeah.
The answer is definitely yes. This is how we use it at Microsoft. We have big mono repos, and each piece of RNX Kit is a separate tool. You can use it on its own. Dep check is interesting because it's got its own CLI, so it kind of stands by itself. But Dep check is designed to work with mono repos. So you got like 100 packages in your repo.
Yeah.
You're going to go and run init on one of the packages,
right?
And you're going to get all this set up, and then the other packages, they're not going to be there,
right?
And so you'll run in your CI loops. You'll run RNX dep check with this vigilant flag,
yeah,
and it will sniff around other packages that aren't quote unquote initialized, and it'll make sure that they're still conforming,
right?
And they probably won't be, and you don't have to fail CI for that. You can at least just know what you're dealing with.
Yeah.
And then you could slowly work through all your packages over time with multiple PRs.
That makes a lot of sense. Does that help, Chanman? So 513. Let me go 513 here.
I think what happened with your config is Tito saying you were using.
I saw his. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He said you got to have the name of the capability, not the name of the package. That totally makes sense. Yeah.
Oh, you fixed it.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. So that totally makes sense. But I like that. That's a cool way to do it. And then each of those capabilities can have dependencies as well. So, so this is now giving me the right ones. And so now if I do, now if I did the, what was the other thing? It was, sorry, it was, there's another, the interactive set version.
That's for
React Native itself.
Native. Yeah, you can. So we have all these little profiles, and they're specific. Yeah, they're specific to all the versions we know about.
Yeah.
So we go as far back as 6.1, it looks like.
And you do have 68 already, which would be the pre-release, because I don't think that's out right now.
Yeah, we try to keep ahead based on the RCs. And like one of the core release managers works at MS. I talk to him all the time.
Yeah.
Kelset.
Yep.
And so we get an inside track on what's going on so we can keep this thing as up to date as possible.
Yeah, that's awesome. I actually just joined the release meetings now with Kelset. So every Monday I'm jumping in those core team meetings with him. I'm not going to do this. However, that is good that that's available.
Yeah. And it'll just sniff through those capabilities that you initialized, and it'll reproject all your dependency versions.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
So like you just say, I want to go from 6.4 to 6.6. And if you're already using dep check, all your dependencies and deb dependencies, and I don't know if we hit peer dependencies, but everything gets refreshed. If it's on our list, it's going to get tweaked.
I'm going to actually run it, but I did a commit first. Okay, so it's telling me that I need to do this first. So I'm going to do this with write. Oh, yarn it. So this upgraded to all of the latest versions of MobX State Tree and MobX and MobX React Lite. By the way, Solidarity is something that was created by my business partner, Gant Laborde, which does some similar things. It essentially will check your node version in your environment. It's more about environment checking rather than like project dependency checking and stuff. That is something that you might want to look at some point, Solidarity, just to see what it does. Because I would see that as potentially having a home in RNX Kit if it made sense, or something like it.
It sounds like it. It sounds like kind of a mix. Dep check is on the boundary of being a doctor tool.
It
sounds like Solidarity is center lane doctor. Like it's going to make sure everything's good, because there's way more than just dependencies.
I'm going to just send you in Zoom chat so you have that, just to take a look at it. We don't spend a lot of time on it right now. It kind of got to where we wanted it to be, but I know that it could be a lot more. But yeah, it's like an environment checker, stuff like that. So
yeah, thanks. I'll take a look at it and see how I can incorporate it into my future plans here.
Perfect.
Which I happen to be in a planning mode right now.
Yeah. Following capabilities could not be resolved for one or more profiles, MobX. So for React Native 68, because my thing only shows 67 here, it's probably saying, hey, this won't work for that. So I would have to probably do this, right? Update to 68 here and then run it.
Yeah, you can also define them at the root, but that doesn't really make sense because they're going to be different.
Right.
But for this experiment, yeah, you can just do that.
And it did update React Native. It also updated React Native screens, interestingly. So for 68 screens, I do know this for a fact, has some 68 specific changes. And so that was then updated here. That's the sort of thing that you generally would find out when you go to run your project or whatever, and then it crashes, and you're like, oh wait, what's going on with screens? And you'd have to go look at it. And oh, hey, to update to 68, you need to make sure you have this 3.12. That's what you're trying to fix here.
Yeah. Yeah. Why did it break? Well, you don't even have to worry about the breaks if we can take care of it.
Yeah.
I mean, we won't get everything, but the more contributions, the handier it'll be.
Exactly. I'm going to actually toss that, but that was interesting. Okay. So we've only made it through one of these things. I'm going to probably have to have you on for multiple of these streams, by the way, but that's okay. We'll keep moving here. So I feel like we kind of like got a good overview of what this was all about. And I like it. I think that's something that we totally could integrate into Ignite, and be something that would be helpful to our Ignite people. Bundling. So shipping your kit starts with bundling into a single JavaScript file. Bundling is done using Metro. Consistently configuring Metro to produce a type-safe minimal bundle across all your kit packages is difficult. Yes, I agree. That is definitely the case. RNX Kit has a number of plugins, presets, services to make this easier, all wrapped up in the command line interface. It's controlled by kit configuration and optional command line overrides. This eliminates the need for boilerplate Metro and Babel configuration file. Really?
Yeah. You still have little ones, but yeah, you don't have to have a whole bunch of
Right.
stuff in each of those. We take care of a lot of it for you and allow you to customize on top of whatever we do.
Wow. Okay. Very interesting. And again, my music is going too hard, and I need to skip forward here. So we obviously already, like in this particular app, we already have a Babel config, and we have a Metro config, which by the way is using RNX Kit in a kind of custom way, I guess, here, by bringing in the Symlinks resolver and passing that through. Quite possible that we could be doing this a lot better. But if I were to, let's see here. Well, let's just look. So if you have any suggestions, Adam, I'm all yours. I'm just kind of exploring right now.
Yeah, I think you've done that right. I think our Symlink resolver should be integrated just the way you did it. Are you using the Metro config plugin from us, or are you?
Yeah,
it's just overriding the resolver field. Actually, I don't think you use our Metro config plugin. Let me see.
I am using it here. So,
yeah.
Hey, Danny. Is this bundling thing for shipping library code or app builds? Danny asks.
It is, well, the bundler is mostly for apps because you don't really, I don't know of a use case where you'd bundle a library because you just make that one big JavaScript file that's supposed to be, that includes core React Native and everything else, all your dependencies. So, but you pull your app, your libraries into your app, and then you can bundle there.
Yeah.
Let me see our
experimental tree shake.
Yeah, so our Metro config is like the RNX Kit Metro config is like the baseline. You're already pulling it in and using it to make Metro config function. It plugs in a lot of stuff for you.
Okay.
And then you can pull in other stuff like you're doing with the Symlink resolver. We have a duplicate checker, duplicate dependencies, cyclic dependencies. Yeah, Danny, does it make Metro easier to use? Yes. The whole Metro config is can be a little bit complicated. Hall config is extremely complicated. But we try to cut out a lot of the default stuff and just do what we have opinions about it, but we do what we think will work for a lot of people. So
yeah, that's awesome.
But make Metro config lets you, do your own thing on top of that.
Yep. And in this case, we're passing in another asset extension, which I don't really know why we're doing that bin thing, but we must have something in there. Oh, we have a post install and a setup script.
So you could pull in, if you wanted to do like the duplicate checker and the cyclic dependency checker. Yeah. These are a little strange sounding, but when you've had a bug because you have two copies of React Native by accident or React or batched bridge or something in your, you're like pulling your hair out. What is going on? Right. Even if they're the same version, it's a problem. It's like if you're, it's true. I'm going to show my age here. If you're a C++ developer and you've had two copies of the C runtime in your executable, you know what I'm talking about. Like two DLLs, each link in the C runtime loaded into the same process space. Yeah. You got two of everything and it doesn't work. Yeah. Which library is going to call into which of those copies of React Native at which times and global state. Yeah. So these things just sort of catch it while you're bundling. They say like, you got two copies of this, you got two copies of that. Here are the versions I see. You really need to just fix that. And cyclic dependencies, I don't exactly know what kind of subtle things could happen from that, but I know it came from a place of pain. I feel like that's the whole RNX kit is it came from a place of pain, but you've managed to make it less painful, which is awesome. So how would I do that here? I guess I'm going to look at, so there's bundle a kit. Look at Metro plugin duplicates checker, and the README will show you. It's just a quick one-line addition.
Where do I find?
It's one of the packages. Each of these packages, it's kind of like its own tool.
I see. Okay, so
yeah,
duplicates checker. Okay. And then we have that make metro config, which we're already pulling in. We're grabbing this from, so we're going to need to grab this here. And there's also the serializer. So I will drop those in. So we have the duplicate dependencies here. So we're pulling that in, and we're also grabbing the metro serializer. And then within the metro config, we have our serializer, and we can pass in that. It looks like, I think,
yeah, it's a little strange. The serializer, that you can only have one serializer replacement, and so we wrote a harness that lets you have stack serializers in sequence.
That's what metro serializer is, or no? Okay, so yeah, okay.
And then duplicate dependencies is one of the serializers. It doesn't do anything to serialization. It just runs some code that spits out an error.
Oh, okay. So
Tito's jumping in with the answer. Cyclic dependencies can cause use before init issues. Super bad.
Oh, super hard to debug too. Yeah. Thanks, Tito. Anything to improve Metro is awesome. Danny says, had so many issues with the multiple versions of React Native. I've run into it myself. Ended up ditching the Expo template in React Native Storybook because of it. He's the maintainer of React Native Storybook, so that's what he's talking about there. And then by template, I mean example. Okay, yeah, Expo example, because he couldn't resolve the multiple versions of React Native. Okay, makes sense. You can also check for duplicate packages after a bundle is created, so you could then check for the source map file and then check it. Just check the bundle, basically.
Yeah, I haven't used this mode, but that's another way to consume it.
Yeah, makes sense. Now, to have this work, it looks like I can just run like yarn iOS. Or wait, no, it wouldn't be yarn iOS. It would actually be the packager itself.
Yeah, you need to run Metro.
So I need to run yarn start and probably pass in like -c or something. Oh, we did get an error this time. Okay. I need to actually add that. Whoops. Yarn add -d. There we go. Yarn start. So it's pretty cool because one of the ways that you've architected this is that you can, okay, go away. I don't want it. Is that you can just add what you need. It's not like one giant thing. You have different packages for each of these.
This is the way to plug it into existing repos. If you want to go for it all at once, the CLI is going to be your best bet. I mean, that is everything, most things all at once. And you can turn them on and off with config. You don't have to write like little bits of code here and there, but for some people that's more than they want to do. So we tried to make it as accessible as possible.
Yep, that's awesome. Chanman says, can you talk about the project's RNX being, how it's being used maybe within Microsoft? You mentioned large mono repos before.
Yeah, we have a mono repo, one of them, for a lot of experiences within Office products. And we ship experiences being like little bits of UI here and there.
Yeah.
I don't know how much we publicized, so I don't want to get too much into that, but core experiences are shipped this way. Like and Tito's been in that world. He came from there, and he knows the pain of trying to get React Native uniform across everything and updated. And so that's where a lot of these tools came from. So we're shipping to, like, this is what I mean, millions of customers are seeing this stuff. And it's in Office products. It's in repos that ship to Office and ship to other parts of the company. I think I think Windows might be doing something with it. There are, I don't know what's been discussed out in the open, so
that's okay.
I'm happy to say Office is doing it, but
yeah,
there are other big arms of the company using it, and they have their own mono repos. So like I think the one that Office pulls from, it's so big that Watchman gets so upset it'll use 16 gigs of memory, and that which is about all you can get on a Mac, and then it'll die.
Yeah,
because there's thousands of package dependencies across hundreds of packages, and we use it in there.
Yeah,
that's one of our big test beds.
Why do you think React Native took off so much at Microsoft?
I don't know the particular reasons why it got started. I kind of joined the effort in Office after it was underway. But everybody agrees that the value of I think the developer experience and velocity and of using JavaScript to run native apps is just undeniable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
It's a more fun world. Writing C++ code is fascinating, but it takes so long to get your ideas expressed.
Yeah. That's a good answer. And obviously some people, there's a lot of JavaScript hate out there. Although I would say TypeScript really improves a lot of things, and just modern JavaScript in general just improves a lot of things that people used to really dislike it for. But it is amazing to me because you can have JavaScript have all of your business logic and stuff, and then where it really counts in the UI and stuff, it's actually still native. It's rendering in native.
Yeah, all the stuff is happening in native, and the JavaScript is like the event handler for all the native events, or some of them.
Yeah,
it's fast enough, and you don't notice. Yeah, so why? Oh, Taku has pointed out we did blog about the Windows stuff. The settings app is using React Native.
Okay,
and they're one of the people that I meet with on a regular basis. The main dev for that. Did he write that? Can I say his name?
I appreciate it.
Well,
so settings is running in React Native on Windows. Okay, that's very interesting. I mean, it's amazing because the paradigm that React Native brings was supposed to just be iOS and Android at first. That was just well, actually no, go back further. React was an abstraction on top of web, and then they're like, wait, well, if we have this abstraction, it helps us on web, but it also decouples us from web. Now we can actually apply this to a different platform. Just have to write the bindings, to the native UI. And they did that that was React Native. If we can do it for iOS, we can do it for Android. They did that. Well, if we do it for that, then we can do it for Windows. And Windows, Microsoft's doing that. And then it's just all over. And there's so many knock-on effects of that paradigm, that React paradigm coming out of all this. It's really cool. Thanks for the link there, YY. I appreciate it. Yeah, that's really cool. I wanna hang on to that. I'm gonna hang on to that. I'm gonna put a link somewhere. Let's see here. I can't find my notes. Where's my notes?
And now that you've added did the duplicate checker find anything?
It found some.
Yeah. And now those 3 lines of code you wrote, you've done all the hard work. You can add one more line and you can get cyclic dependency. If you go to that package, it's just one more Metro serializer that you have to plug in.
So let's go find that. So that's the duplicates checker. Let's go to the cyclic dependencies. Thanks for the blog. By the way, if you folks want us to put blog articles like that in our newsletter, which has 15,000 React Native developers subscribe to it, just send them to us and we'll put them in because people need to know about this stuff that's happening over in Microsoft land. Whoops. Yarn add -d, add that. But I'll make sure that gets into the next one here. So now we need this cyclic dependencies. Drop that in here, and I'll put it right there. And then how do you use it? You put it as a serializer, custom serializer. We have the Metro. I think we already have that. Yeah, right there. So then all we need to do is just add that to that array. It doesn't matter what like order this is in.
No.
Okay. So now if I run, if I just start it again and reload, or hit reload here. So it does come up with the duplicates found. And it shows us which duplicates they are. So escape string regex. So I have a question about this. It doesn't look like it found any of the cyclic, or maybe it stops when it finds these. I don't know. How do I resolve this? I found 2 copies. How do I fix that?
It's a little bit trickier. You've got to start poking around the dependency tree. It would be handy if it was just in a package JSON somewhere that you controlled, but usually it's in a dependency you pull in.
Which is right here. Yeah. It's in React Navigation Core.
Yeah. And you kind of have to ferret out how to get, either you got to manipulate the package versions you're pulling in, or usually you've got to do something gross like the, what do they call yarn resolutions? You know, you sort of, that'll, I don't know if it'll stop duplicates from coming in though.
Yeah. And in this case, it's the same version, 4.0.0. But in this case, it's 2 different versions, 6.10.1 and 6.14.1.
Your yarn lock file will have 2, must have 2 copies. Or no, there's probably 1 copy because of symlinks, but yeah, these are always difficult to
Well, in this case, I'm actually not using symlinks. I just have yarn. So Chalk has it, and escape. And we can obviously do like yarn Y that, which gives us more information about why it's included. Oh, wow. Okay. It's hoisted from everywhere. And then it also finds some additional ones here. Yeah. So this gets tricky to fix. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah. But at least you know about it, and it was just a really simple command to get that integrated there. This blog post is pretty cool too. Ability to call most of the modern Windows native APIs directly from JavaScript. You'd have to get escape. Hey, Derek, if you're listening, can you grab these links for us for the newsletter? I would really appreciate that. One of my developers who's in charge of, or helps with the newsletter. John Major as well. He's our editor. You have to get escape string regexp hoisted or something so that those 2 versions can be shared. RNX Kit Metro config comes with utility functions to help with duplicates. Ooh. Okay, get more information about that. That would be cool. There's the duplicates checker. Oh, right here. Ensuring a single instance of a package. Normally, Metro resolves a module relative to the package it's currently residing in. For example, with a mono repo such as below my awesome package would resolve React Native MSAL 203, while another one would be 310. If we simply exclude the workspace's copy, Metro will not be able to find it from there. To help Metro resolve to the correct copy, we need to exclude all other copies and also add a corresponding entry in extra node modules. Our Metro config should look like this. So we're bringing in... Oh, Sid, thanks for the follow. I did see your message earlier about errors, and I laughed, but I didn't actually read it. But that was good, Sid. Good to see you, by the way. So it contains exclude extra copies of an exclusion list. I think these come from Metro config. Let's go grab that there. So Metro config, we'll just add these here. So we have those two extra functions, and then we would basically create a block list here, which is so extra copies of, and in our case it is escape string. The reason I'm going through this, Adam, by the way, is just because I feel like to really understand what you folks are doing, I feel like I have to feel the pain a little bit. Hopefully that makes sense.
No, this is good.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're going all the way to the end. Running the app, running the bundler, see what happens.
Yeah. Exclude extra copies of. Okay, that's good. Then we have the block list. This is just for this one. So this one hopefully will disappear. And then extra node modules in the resolver and the block list here. Oh, that's under. Okay, so never mind. So just extra node modules. That goes under the make metro config. Yeah. So if I drop that in, extra node modules, and then in this case I'm going to be doing escape string regex expression. Looks right.
Drop it under the resolver.
Oh, did I not put in the? I didn't put in the resolver. Okay. So that needs to go there. Yeah, you're right. Yep. And then the block list drops in there as well, which is there. I think I got that. That's the resolver. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So kill that. Start again. And then we'll grab our simulator here and reload and just see what happens. Okay, so we did find import exclude extra copies of. Maybe that was before I did that. Exclude extra copies of. Yeah, I got that. Escape string regex. 2 copies. It appears that I... Let me think. What did I do wrong? Node modules escape string regex.
Let's see.
Additional exclusions. It's an exclusion list.
Tito says you need to point to the correct copy.
Oh, maybe I don't have... Oh, you're right. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. So what I need to do is grab this, because it doesn't matter between these two. So what I need to do is put something like that. So we're gonna grab React Navigation's version. And still found it. Maybe I did something wrong here. The name node modules, React Navigation Core, node modules, escape string regex. 10x developer for Tito. Yeah. Also as a second param to ensure you get the right. So exclude x as second param. Okay. Project root. So the project root, I could just pass in dir name, because we're at the root.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
Let's see what happens.
Just try that.
This is uncharted territory for me. I haven't used this particular thing.
Yeah.
Tito says it should be the root that contains the copy. It's a misnomer.
Okay. Makes sense. So I would just need this up to here. Maybe. Could try it. This might be helpful for Tito as well, just to see how a dumb developer like me would try to use this. Okay. So still 2 copies. So we have node modules, React navigation core, node modules. Oh, I did that wrong, I think. No, I did that up there. Core. Okay. So I don't know if I need an extra slash there or something, or if I need to. Maybe right here, since I already provided the extra copy. I don't know. I'm nothing's really standing out to me here, unfortunately. Let's see. You have to reset cache. That's a possibility. Okay. We'll reload. That's a very possible thing there. So this is what I like to do with Ignite, is get Ignite so that this stuff's already configured. So when you spin up a new project, you don't have this stuff happening. Like anything new is something you caused, you know?
Yeah, that's what exactly the boilerplate needs to be right.
Yep. So we are still running into that. So I'm not sure what's different here.
Yeah, sorry, I can't.
No worries. I don't expect you to know every bit of this repo. So, but what we're doing here is we are creating an exclusions list right there. By the way, we could just wrap that, couldn't we?
Yeah, I wonder if we need to make this a little easier to use as like params to the duplicate dependencies.
Mm-hmm.
Probably there's something we can do there.
You might be able to like sniff out what these should be and then kind of just choose one.
Or at least in the output print, like add this block of code.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Because the program knows. Like,
yeah.
If they're the same version, just pick one.
Yeah.
If they're different versions, we can't do that.
Yeah, then you have to pick one, yeah. Tito says file an issue. Good QA. Yeah, fair enough. So if I bail out of all of that, I can still leave that though, if the exclusion list is blank. Then I assume what it'll do is, I probably shouldn't have really done the cache, but anyway, duplicates found, or actually if I don't want to get hung up on that, I should actually remove the duplicates. So
there's a config option that'll let you get warnings, but it won't break stuff.
Oh,
throw on error. Yeah,
in here?
There's in the options, there's a throw on error. You can set both to false.
Ah, okay.
This is another way you can incrementally approach these tools without suffering from them. Like, you'll get the warnings, but you won't get all the errors.
Makes sense. Let's see.
It needs to be in an object. Throw on errors will be one of the dictionary entries. Just set it to false.
Where are we doing this? Is it in the
dependency checker, the function call that sort of creates it? You see cyclic dependencies has a block.
Yeah.
Make a block in dependencies, duplicate dependencies.
Okay.
And just put throw on error false.
Perfect. Okay. That works.
This is a good way to plug in the CPI, the CLI. This stuff, if you use the CLI, you can't do as much of this cool stuff through configuration, but if you need basics, it's just one line to turn these options on and off. It's one line in your package JSON.
That makes sense. So still getting a duplicate. Oh no, this thing is just borked right now. Kill it. Come on. Okay, and we'll click that one again. And so it does say, no, this is the bundle now. Create navigation is not a function. I feel like this is a restart bundler or Metro error there. Okay.
Maybe some of that version changing that we did broke something.
Could be.
Do you need to rebuild native code as a follow-up to the changes we made?
Quite possibly.
Because we were mucking with...
Yeah. So I'm just running yarn again here. And then rebuilding the app. Okay, cool. So, by the way, this is the one that I've run into a lot, is the duplicate models from Haste. And so that's, yeah, I know that's something you're looking at. All right. So that's part of the bundler, is the detecting, let's see, where am I? I'm in the wrong tabs here. So there's depth check, there's the cyclic dependencies. I'm going to go back to the CLI for a second. But you also have all this other cool stuff. Now you have to run Yarn React Native RNX bundle, right?
Right. We wrap it because we actually programmatically change what happens internally a little bit.
Okay. Now
it's still pretty vanilla, but we add in things like TypeScript integration, and that has to be done with code.
Makes sense. So if I go to my package.json and I go to my yarn start here, it's doing React Native start. This is, would I be replacing, well, no, this would be if you're trying to bundle a, never mind, that's for dev. So, okay, so if I'm here and I'm like yarn React Native RNX bundle.
We have an RNX start to add type
do?
safety again. Yeah.
Okay, so I could change that to RNX start.
Yeah.
Like that.
Oops,
I already have a start open here. It's still complaining. RNX. Oh, I probably need to add. Let's see here. That's RNX bundle. I need to add something, I think. It's RNX Kit CLI probably as a dev dependency.
Yeah, you definitely need to depend on the CLI because it'll pull the CLI in, and that contains an RN CLI config file that will be dynamically found. And
perfect.
Without any of that, it just doesn't work.
Perfect. Nice. We're almost an hour and a half into this. We can take a little break and then come back and kind of wrap things up afterward. And I'm going to have you back, Adam. You can see that like this sort of thing, I don't go fast on purpose. I told you that before the stream. I go slow. But some of this stuff just takes time too. And I don't have any problem with that. I stream twice a week, so there's plenty of opportunity to do this stuff.
Yeah, it seems like some people are interested. I'm happy to come back and just talk more about the work we're doing. Maybe we'll have an answer for, we can follow up and figure out what went wrong with I'll play with the Ignite template and see what's going on with the duplicate checker. And
right. Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to run that pod install, Tito. Metro, the duplicates checker. I probably just need to remove the duplicates checker for now until I have it. I'm just going to remove it for now. think that's all I have to do, right? And I probably don't need this extra node modules and block list. Then I can get rid of these here as well, and then yarn start. And so this is RNX start. So this is now powered by RNX. Is that different? Bundler address QR code?
It's supposed to look a lot alike, but
Yeah.
it is a little different. Yeah, and we put the QR code back in.
That's cool. That's really cool. Okay, so now I need to reload here. This is exciting, actually. Still found the duplicates. What did I do wrong? Oh, I need to restart. Duplicates, 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 duplicates. I got rid of that. I might need to... I'll do the reset cache. And load that. Oops, reload. Nice. Probably just RNX start without React Native before. No, I think that you actually do need that. Chanman says, great listening to you, both Jamin and Adam. Will definitely tune into the follow-up. Awesome. Duplicates is enabled by default with RNX start. Ooh.
Oh, it is. You need to use config to turn it off, I guess.
Ah, interesting. Also, by the way, module React Native has no exported member create navigation. I think I upgraded that or something.
The type safety is on. So you're getting TypeScript output.
I wonder if my upgrade of React Navigation native, something changed there.
Yeah, that seems to be the core of all the problems we're having.
I think you're right. I think you're right. We shouldn't have done that upgrade. But yeah, I'm seeing... So, in other words, our TypeScript... And by the way, Danny says... how about Microsoft just write the new Metro replacement and save us all? Well, that's basically what's happening. So, they're just being kind of more subtle about it.
No, you should... We actually work pretty closely with the Metro team.
It's true, yeah.
Metro is quite vast, and there's a lot of amazing technology underneath. I know, like, it's so simplified that it feels like, why doesn't it just work?
Right. Because
the API surface is simple, but I think it's actually a much more capable bundler, but it is not as pluggable as Webpack or Hall. Yeah. But yeah, we're trying to use Metro because it's what the community uses. It's always up to date with the latest standards coming out of the React Native team. And so we want to plug into it with the intention of eventually upstreaming some of this stuff, probably not all of it, but you know, I talk with one of their main developers all the time, and he's really helpful in saying, you know, how to actually do this kind of work. Right. How do you plug into it? What's going to work? What's not? I've had a few PRs. One of them went through to enable a little bit more than I needed to do this TypeScript integration. So yeah, the Metro documentation does need to get updated. Yeah. That is true. Yeah. This also needs to go back up. You're right. We actually downgraded it. And that's the source of all of our problems here. So I'm just gonna. Yeah, we're hoping to make Metro fast. It's already quite fast, but making it even faster, and with the features that you come to expect from bundling, which is type safety and basically safety all around. So that as a dev, you're not looking at your app wondering, why is this broken at runtime? Yeah. Why didn't you just tell me what's going on? I think that's amazing. And I was about to say, but then I got distracted, as I tend to do, that we have like our own kind of TypeScript setup here. But if we are using the RNX CLI, it comes with a TypeScript integration. So we could probably back off all of our stuff
other than our TS config, of course, which we'll keep, but and let RNX Kit handle that. Like, would we really even need, for example, TypeScript here? You know,
in the template. Well, so TypeScript, you need TS config anyway to define how TypeScript is going to work.
How it's going to work, right?
And what we do is we add it in a bundle time. So when you're bundling for a particular target, and you have platform extensions like .ios.ts or .native.ts, the bundler knows how to assemble them in a particular set, and it'll throw out all the Android code and all the Windows code. And that's when you can really make sure your types are going to work across across the whole system for that particular slice.
Makes sense.
That's what TypeScript integration is for. If you're not running TSC to, say, build your files,
right,
then I guess you don't need it. But that's also a sort of a handy CI loop thing. I mean, TSC doesn't really have platform smarts. It compiles everything all at once, but it's still really useful, even if it's not 100% accurate.
Right. I don't remember exactly how we have this set up, to be honest. It's been a while since we set it up. Let's see, when we're...
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot here, but let's take a break. We'll come back and then we'll wrap it up. Probably be done by about noon, so it's not going to be like super long, but let's take a break. And I'm going to just put... we'll be right back here.
Yeah, we can. Let's save the type stuff for
that can be another
second show, because there's a lot there. I've actually done a bunch of work. A lot of stuff we covered today is stuff. Thankfully Tito was on the call.
Stuff
totally. He's built.
Yeah,
I know how it works, but I don't really know how to get in there and do everything with it. But the TypeScript stuff, I'll know. We can get into.
That's perfect. All right. Well, I'm going to. Yeah, we'll be back in like 5-10 minutes, something like that. Okay. Get everything re-enabled here. So I have a question for you, Adam. Sorry. I have a question for you, Adam.
Yeah.
What about Expo? Have you folks done anything with Expo?
Yeah, I have a regular meeting actually with a few key players in the bundling world. Expo, Meta, Facebook, Metro,
Yep.
and a few others. And we talk through like where things are headed and how we can help each other. I just wrote this up in a response to one of the to Danny HYW. Yeah, we talk a lot, and I've learned a great deal. I mean, these platforms are really quite sophisticated and amazing. Even though we experience frustrations with them, they're still like there's a lot there to build on. And I'm trying to learn from them because they're the experts, and I want to know what's missing and what they're interested in taking. Expo has a more broad view. I've been learning that they want their developers to have options.
Yeah.
Like you choose your bundler, choose your transpiler, and they've somehow made that possible. It's just pretty mind-boggling.
I know. Because what they're doing seems like it's more of a let's narrow down to this approved, set of things, but it's not really. They're doing some amazing kind of wild things to make all this work.
Yeah.
I feel like developers sort of almost when wow, I don't know what happened to VS Code here. But developers almost like when presented with Expo sort of almost like gave them an impossible task. Like, yeah, we want all of this. We want to be wrapped up in a cocoon, and you just kind of like make everything beautiful and nice for us, but also we want to be able to configure everything. It's like, okay. All right.
Yeah, the reason it's nice and beautiful is because you don't get to configure
exactly,
anything.
Exactly.
This is why it's a big difference between Metro and Webpack. You can do anything and everything with Webpack. But Metro is going to be faster when similarly configured and easier to use because there's not much you can do with it comparatively.
Yeah.
Like it's got its purpose.
Right. Exactly. Okay. So we did run into the duplicate. I'd like to actually really quickly figure out how to disable that. I think that's in the CLI. Whoops. Oh yeah, I'm in the wrong one here. CLI. Is there a way to disable that?
Yeah, if you go to the CLI page, there's going to be some, you should see the config. I hope I put it in the README. There's an RNX Kit section. Oh, did I not put it? I linked to the config project, which doesn't have a write-up of it. Oh, I have work to do.
That's the kit config?
Yeah. The kit config docs are a little bit stale.
Oh, yeah, it's in yeah. Okay, no problem. So yeah, sorry.
We can, let me see if I can dig it up. You keep talking. I'm going to dig
no
up.
problem. Let's see. Am I in the right thing here? I am. Okay. Yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be in the right file here, hopefully. I should also have our package JSON open in case I need to add something to our RNX start. Metro config. Oh, and then the package also has our RNX Kit configuration right here. We have our capabilities built in. And then, yeah, now we have to figure out. Okay.
Tito's saving the day. He's documented his stuff. React Native test app, or RNX Kit's test app,
Is
which
that
is
in
in
the
the repo.
packages?
But it's not documented. But if you go to packages,
Okay.
test app,
I mean,
there's
to be fair, this is all pretty new stuff. Like you guys have just really been getting to the point where you're starting to promote it. And so, but yeah, it's good to know. So, all right, there's bundle. So the bundle option here.
you can skip that. It's the below bundle. There's I'm sorry, in bundle. There's TypeScript validation.
Right there, an experimental tree
Yeah.
shake.
Yeah.
And
then
there's also the detect cyclic and duplicate.
Yeah.
So I could probably just drop this in. That's under bundle. It's under bundle. So if I go here, say bundle, and then and it would be great actually to have. I don't know how they do that, but they do the thing where where it actually will like tell you what options there are. So this would be false if I want to turn that off, and let's just see if that worked. Oops. So I'll reload here.
Probably I need to turn off TypeScript. I don't think it'll fail if you're yeah, even if you have type errors. When you're running a dev server, it'll just yell at you, but it won't fail.
Right. Duplicates found.
Is that in the right place?
Don't know actually. Let's see. That's under bundle, right? So let me verify that. It's bundle detect duplicate. I mean, right now this has like ignored modules, which I could just ignore the ones that we have that are problematic. So duplicates found, and we have query string.
Oh, there's a separate server block. Not for bundle is for bundling, server is for serving. So you can control them differently. Yeah.
Okay. So server, and it's similar stuff. It's like the same shape.
Not quite. It's got the detect duplicate bundles shape, but it doesn't have some of the other stuff.
Okay. That's helpful. Yeah, you're right. Yep. Server and bundle are similar, but for different purposes. Okay. And then we did get those, but it did build. So it appears to be working. So that's good. But yeah, we got the TypeScript errors. And in this case, this is something we should fix. Like test should be something that goes in our TS config, I think. Is that right? No. Where do we put that? I feel like there, or how did we deal with like dev, for example? I feel like there was a TypeScript.
It's like a global DTS.
Global,
you've got
yeah,
defined.
exactly. Thought we had a. Do we have a DTS? Don't think we do. Don't exactly remember why. There's API types. That's something different. Let's see if I just declare. If I look for declare. Just declare let module for these. Declare global. Okay, so I think we were doing that as a way to. But this is for tests. So anyway, it's not a big deal. It's just something that it's like, okay, well, clearly, it found something that we need to fix. So that's good. And if we wanted to, we could turn that off. But yeah, cool. All right. Well, so I'm not going to go into some of these other things, but I should say, I'm not going to actually test them, but there's minification. There's the experimental tree shaking. And how far along is this, Adam?
It's been really good for us.
Yeah.
But we're saying experimental because I think ES build is still churning quite a bit,
Yeah.
and we're not totally confident we've seen enough examples. I'm going to guess that's why
Yeah, makes sense.
Plus, I think the Metro integration, there might be some experimental aspects to that too. Like things that we rely on certain config flags that are actually labeled experimental.
Yeah.
So those could change, I think, until all that stuff stabilizes. It'll eventually become less alpha, more beta, but we won't take the label off until we're sure it's a thing.
Yep, totally makes sense to me. And Tito says that we have a schema you can add at the top to get autocomplete. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, the options for starting and running the bundler should look and feel a lot like React Native commands, React Native bundle, React Native start.
Yep.
That was the idea. So it would feel the same, but we would add the bits and pieces that we wanted.
Right.
And we're not doing anything special. We're just passing a lot of them through.
Right. Like reset cache is an example. Source map. Yeah, so that makes sense to me. Bundle is minified. So if your default true, so if you want to pass through dev false, then it will create a prod bundle.
The idea is that you literally go into your script block and change the word bundle to RNX bundle in the command line, and that's it.
Yeah. That's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. Yeah. And then obviously there's other stuff here. So bundle server as well. Again, similar. The start. It's just like React Native start. And obviously in some of these cases, like you're not going to necessarily need everything for the bundler because this is just dev. So,
these should also, almost all these, or if not all these, should be the command line overrides for the script blocks, but you can also not put them on the command line and put them in that RNX Kit section under bundler or server. There's an equivalent config once I get this thing documented.
Yeah.
That you can just have defaults for your package.
Yeah. Yep. Right. Just like this. And you can drop stuff in and configure it how you want to. This is really cool stuff. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. And the reality is that, I'm actually writing an article right now. I'm going to go to our just chatting view here. I'm writing an article right now that is provocatively titled Flutter is better than React Native in all the ways that don't matter.
I saw that. Are you actually going to write that?
I am writing that. Well, I wasn't going to, but then I just kind of tweeted that out as a joke. I've said it before. And there's nuance around that, obviously. Like I'm not saying, that all the ways that Flutter's better than React Native, it doesn't matter. But everybody's like, I want to read that article. So I do have, and there's some substance behind that. I mean, I've talked to a lot of people. We have obviously a lot of experience, and even people that like Flutter, there are certain things that frustrate them about Flutter. And of course, the biggest reasons, and I'm just gonna, for the few people that are still watching here, I'm gonna spoil the whole thing. The biggest reasons really don't have anything to do with technical, but there are some technical reasons that Flutter's a little better, and some of it's tooling, things like that. The reasons that React Native are better are really more business decisions. Being able to share code between web and mobile. Yeah, Flutter 2 has web support, but nobody's going to go out there and be like, we need a website, let's use Flutter. They're going to say, we need a mobile app, and let's use Flutter. And then they're going to back into web. But that's not how usually it works. It's more like, let's build our web stuff. Oh, hey, we need a mobile app too. And then you bring in something else. And you're already probably using React. If you're using React, why would you ever use Flutter? You would always use React Native at that point. Because you can share code, you can share developers, you can recruit from a gigantic pile of like a gigantic pool of developers, JavaScript developers. If I put an ad out there for I need a Dart developer, you're gonna have a hard time, finding Dart developers. Yes, you can onboard pretty fast from Java because it's more Java-esque probably, and there are a lot of Java developers. But it's just a different, community. And so I go into all of this stuff. I'm up to like 1,500 words, maybe more. I don't know. And I'm going to run it by some Flutter fans so that I don't misrepresent Flutter. I want to make sure that I'm representing it properly and that I'm treating it well. But in my mind, a lot of the criticisms of React Native that the Flutter people have center around performance and tuning, and tooling, and some other things like that, but ignore the most important like elephant in the room, which really is about like sharing code, sharing knowledge, sharing developers, all of those things that you can do between platforms in a way that React Native just kind of blows away Flutter in. And you all are helping with the tooling side of it, so we can catch up on that side.
Yeah, it's been an adventure, and it's just getting started.
Yeah.
It's so freeing, actually. I've been a C++ developer for a long time, and I'm like, I need to just see what this JavaScript thing is all about. And like years later, here I am, like, this is the coolest thing. I can do so much more and so much with so much less.
What do you like about JavaScript?
It's really easy to express your ideas concisely. This is something I always went towards with C++. Like, yes, you can do a lot of stuff. It's a good macro assembler, but how do you express your ideas?
Right.
And so you get into the more and more esoteric sides of C++, like templates and now contracts. And,
right.
But JavaScript is just, I don't know. It's like the details matter, but in a way you don't have any control over them anyway. So let it go. The VM is going to do the best it can.
Yeah.
There's no way you can performance tune JavaScript. And now that comment is going to get me in a lot of trouble. But
not at the level you're talking about. Not at the C++ level.
I've looked too. I've asked around. I'm like,
yeah,
which is the better way to do this? Do I do a for each or do I do a map or something?
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows. I just saw a post from
depends.
Ryan Kavanaugh from TypeScript. And he's like, JavaScript is bananas, and here's why. And it's like, holy cow, there's like some kind of, the optimizer does things that the optimizer is going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true. And there is something to be said for when you write at a higher level, the compiler can optimize what you mean rather than just what you wrote. And that's kind of actually a cool concept. Like, it knows more about what you mean, what you're trying to get at. And it can then like, okay, well, we can get there a shorter way, rather than go here, go here, go here. You can't optimize that. Like that's a very, that's true. I don't know. It's a lot smarter people than I are working on a lot of that. I've worked in dynamic languages for a long time. I did VBA back in the day, and then I did PHP and then Ruby, and then went from Ruby, and I did Objective-C and some other things. I dabbled in some other languages along the way, but those were kind of the ones I got paid to write. And then JavaScript just took over. Of course, I did JavaScript from the beginning, but it was more in support of all these other languages. Like when I was doing Ruby, I was writing JavaScript too, as little as I could get away with, but I'd write it. But modern JavaScript's great, and TypeScript makes it even better. I'm a big fan. And like you said, you can just you're writing the code that you're expressing yourself. You're like, this is what I want to have happen. It's not how to get there.
Yeah. It's a little bit, it can sometimes devolve into like what I would call a Perl experience, where look at this stupid dog trick I can do with my syntax. But for the most part, those don't happen. And I came into TypeScript when it was modern. I was coming in on the tail end of well, the scoping of your var declaration
Mm-hmm.
is life and death. And
Yeah.
I was like, this is the thing I have to worry about. But TypeScript just sort of makes that all go away.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I still wanted to know how it works,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
and what to avoid. But
Yeah.
for the most part, I've been only working in the modern JavaScript world, so I don't
Yeah.
have the baggage of like and the scars of coming out of
Yeah.
the old world.
No, you're exactly right. Chanman says, "What do you think of turbo modules, Adam? Especially the C++ support."
It's a fascinating idea. A lot of folks that I work with that literally down the hall from me, or will be soon when we get back into the office,
Mm-hmm.
are working with Meta on like getting that thing defined in a way that works for Windows, and ultimately is going to be good for I think we're contributing some core ideas to it, and
Yeah.
we're a big part of it. So I'm excited by the things I hear about it. Like it's getting rid of the bridge,
Yep.
and just going everything synchronous, but having an asynchronous channel. It's going to solve a lot of problems. It's going to make debugging a lot better, even though it's going to be different.
Yeah.
C++, the thing that's we like to do, I think, I might get this wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You can write C++ for Android, you can write it for Apple, and you
Mm-hmm.
can write it for Windows. And most people don't work that way, but if you do, man, your life's gonna be easier.
Mm-hmm.
But I think like a C++ turbo module that works across all platforms is a really interesting idea.
Yeah.
I don't know what you give up from not doing it in Swift or Objective-C,
Mm-hmm.
or Java. Like, I don't know if the NDK for Android, but I really like that idea.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a good idea once you get down to it, but
Right.
I've written some synchronous native modules, and with the bridge, they're a real pain.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a lot of like you can't debug with them. You can't.
Yeah.
You have to cheat and do all this gross stuff, and nobody does it.
Yeah.
That's
It's true.
like when I was doing it, I was like, where's the example? What can I cut and paste?
Mm-hmm.
And there wasn't anything. So I really like the idea of turbo modules and the new platform, the new architecture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do too. And I was one of the developers that, so like when we did the Lean Core initiative to pull a bunch of stuff out of React Native, I pulled the web view out and kind of maintained that for a while. Now it's more Tebow who's kind of maintaining that, but I did maintain both a Java implementation and a Objective-C implementation of the web view. So we had 3 languages, 4 if you count TypeScript. So it was, you had your JavaScript side of it, and then you had to deal with Objective-C and Java. And everything had to be done twice and often 2 different ways. Now that C++ isn't going to solve all of that, because obviously each platform has its own different APIs and stuff, and there will be, to hook into those, you're going to have some code that, which platform am I on, and go do that. But I do like that idea as well. I don't know how it works. I haven't seen any code that shows like to call to create a UI web view in C++. This is what you do.
Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's a thing. I've even
Yeah.
heard from these folks down the hall that are doing this. I said, like, why can't we use C++, or
Yeah.
what about this? And they're like, React Native Android developers are not going to install a C++ compiler. It's not a thing they do. They use JavaScript, or they use Java, and they use JavaScript, and they don't want all the other garbage.
That's fair. Yeah. Yeah, that, even though sort of like on the surface that makes a lot of sense, the reality is, we still have to kind of work with these communities and work within them. But it does enable some things. And if someone's really like willing to dive into it deep and be like, I'm going to build this really incredibly performant C++ on the back end and JavaScript on the front end, but they both run in every platform, because like the C++ is totally cross-platform and so is the JavaScript, then that's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's only for the benefit of the app developers anyway. So like if you don't want to have a unified C++ across the board, like you prefer to write in Android because you only care about Android, or you prefer to write in Java because you only care about Android, and iOS is going to be in Objective-C, then there's no reason to force C++ on you.
Yep.
Um,
YY says if your Turbo module is talking to system APIs, you'll need two separate implementations anyway. So the shared C++ Turbo modules are more useful when integrating non-system C++ libraries. Do you have an example of that, by the way, YY? That would be interesting to know. Danny says Ruby on Rails is still one of the best dev experiences. I haven't used it in 7 years, so I don't know, but I did it for 5 years straight. So that was Ruby on Rails was definitely one of my great loves of my programming career. It was so much fun to write Rails, Ruby on Rails back in the day, but I haven't done it in a long time. But yeah, I'd like to hear if they're like what an example. I mean, I would assume something like, database libraries, Watermelon. Yeah, totally makes sense. Yeah, that makes like why write it in Swift and Kotlin? Like just have a C++ version. Moved on to Elixir. It's missing some stuff. Yeah, I did the same, Danny. Yeah, that totally. When you think of something like a library like Watermelon or anything like that, then it's you're dealing with. Yeah, that totally makes sense to me. Cool.
Yeah, I don't know what the rules are on Apple platforms, but I think you can't get at some of like the UI kit stuff unless you're in Objective-C.
I see.
I'm not totally sure if that's true, but
yeah,
I think some things still have to be accessed that way.
I did long ago write a MIDI. It was a MIDI player in C, I think, and then hook into that from Objective-C. It only ran on iOS. It would have been kind of fun to port it over to Java, to Android as well. But I actually wanted to play some MIDI files on an app, and there was nothing that would do it. Like I had to actually write in C like an implementation to play it. It was kind of fun actually. MIDI is such an old school technology now.
I was going to ask you, how long ago did this happen? Because I haven't used or heard of MIDI since last century.
I know, right? It was probably 2011-ish, which is a lot later than you would think. But yeah.
That may be why you couldn't find a player.
I know, right? Exactly. I did find a C player, and so I was able to kind of adapt that over to... and Objective-C is a superset, so I was able to run it in there. But yeah, that was fun. Cool. Watermelon DB S2. Not sure what we mean there, Sid. S2. But we'll go ahead and wrap this up. Thanks so much, Adam, for coming on board and hanging out with me and looking at this together and helping. And also thanks to Tito for the help, YY as well. And everybody in the comments, really appreciate it. Oh, that was a heart. S2 was a heart. It just came through as S2 on my stream there. But yeah, anyway, thank you so much, Adam. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. It's been a wonderful experience. I can't wait to catch up with you for round 2.
I know. Yeah. Round 2 of 12. Like we're going to be doing this a lot. So just get ready. It doesn't have to be right away, but yeah.
I'm ready. Thanks so much.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll be back on Monday. I'll probably just be doing some open source or something. I don't know what's on the schedule yet, and we'll see you.